Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're exploring what I like to call the secret language of global business, ISO frameworks. Whether you're working in internal auditing, governance, or risk management, understanding this language is absolutely crucial. I'm Seme Heracli, and in today's explainer, we're going to dive right in and see exactly how these powerful frameworks transform ordinary, everyday processes into world-class, well-oiled operations. It's going to be a great one. Here's our strict six-part roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to systematically cover the objectives, benefits, and auditor role, move on to common frameworks in HLS, dive into examples and ISO principles, then tackle documentation, audits, and certification. We'll follow that up with challenges, practices, and audits, and finally wrap up with key takeaways and popular standards. We're doing a comprehensive examination of every single framework detail here.
Section 1, Objectives, Benefits, and Auditor Role. Let's kick things off right away by setting the foundation of what these frameworks actually aim to achieve and who evaluates them.
So let's look at the objectives. What exactly are we trying to achieve? Well, there are 5 key points here. First, to promote standardization across industries. Second, to improve quality, safety, and efficiency. Third, to manage risks and ensure compliance. Fourth, to enhance customer satisfaction and stakeholder confidence. And fifth, to provide a framework for continuous improvement. Think about standardizing a massive factory line, right? When every single worker follows the exact same verified procedure, well, errors simply drop and output soars. It's not just a one-and-done deal, it is a permanent upward trajectory.
Now, what about the actual benefits? Why go through all this trouble? Well, here are the 5 major benefits. It improves operational efficiency. It strengthens risk management. It enhances compliance and governance. It builds customer trust and brand reputation. And finally, it supports business continuity and sustainability. For instance, if a company completely leverages the ISO 14001 standard for environmental management, they aren't just, saving energy on their monthly bills. They are actively proving their commitment to sustainability, and that builds incredible customer trust.
So where do we fit into this picture? Let's talk about the role of internal auditor. We have 5 main duties. We must understand applicable ISO standards. We evaluate design and implementation of controls. We assess compliance with ISO requirements. We identify gaps and recommend improvements. And we support management in achieving certification and maintaining standards. Practically speaking, we are assessing current compliance to identify critical gaps, like, say, discovering a missing physical security control, long before an external body ever finds it. We're the trusted advisors here.
Moving on to Section 2, Common Frameworks and HLS. Let's transition over to exploring the most widely adopted standards and the unified structure that makes them work together so seamlessly.
You've probably seen some of these before. Let's look at these common ISO frameworks. First, ISO 9001 Quality Management. This is perfect for, say, a manufacturing plant deploying a system to hit absolute zero defects. Then, there's ISO 14001 Environmental Management, used when an organization is aggressively working to shrink its carbon footprint. Third, ISO 45001 Occupational Health and Safety. Next is ISO 27001 Information Security Management, which is deployed by tech companies to lock down sensitive customer data. Then we have ISO 31000 Risk Management. And lastly, ISO 22301 Business Continuity Management, ensuring that if a disaster strikes, an organization keeps operating without missing a beat.
Now, the secret sauce that connects all of these is the high-level structure, or HLS, which is applicable to most ISO management system standards. It maps perfectly to the plan, do, check, act cycle. Let's walk through it. Under Plan, you have Element 1, Context of the organization, 2, Leadership, and 3, Planning. Imagine a practical scenario where a company is planning a major new product launch. They map out all the market risks first, right? Then we move to Do, which includes 4, Support, and 5, Operation. Next is Check, which is Element 6, Performance Evaluation. And finally, Act, which is Element 7, Improvement. It is a continuous, never-ending loop of getting better.
All right, Section 3, Examples and ISO Principles. We're moving directly into detailed, practical applications of these frameworks and the fundamental principles driving them.
Let's break down a specific example using ISO 9001 for quality management. We have 7 clauses to meticulously walk through here. The Context Clause has a focus area of understanding needs of customers and stakeholders. For example, identify customer requirements and regulatory needs. Leadership focuses on quality policy and management commitment, with the example being top management sets quality policy and objectives.
Planning focuses on risks, opportunities, and objectives, like identify process risks and set quality targets. Support focuses on resources, training, and communication. Example, provide training and create awareness. Now for operation, the focus is control of processes. The example here is standard operating procedures and process monitoring. Standard operating procedures are brilliant practical controls. They ensure every single employee completes a task the exact same way every single time. Then performance focuses on monitoring, measurement, and analysis. Example, internal audits, customer feedback, and KPI analysis. And finally, improvement focuses on corrective actions and continual improvement. For example, implement corrective actions and improve processes.
Let's look at another example, this time ISO 27001 for information security. Again, 7 clauses. Context focuses on understand ISMS scope and context. Example, identify information assets and interested parties. Leadership is management commitment and security policy. Example, top management defines information security policy. Planning focuses on risk assessment and treatment. Example, identify risks to data and plan controls. Support is resources, competence, and awareness. Example, provide security training and allocate resources. Operation focuses on implement and control security measures. A great practical example here is access control, encryption, backup, monitoring. Basically, you're practically demanding multi-factor access control and heavy encryption on hard drives, so unauthorized people absolutely cannot view sensitive data. Next, performance focuses on monitor, measure, and review. Example, conduct internal audits and management reviews. And finally, improvement is corrective actions and improvements. For example, respond to incidents and improve security controls.
So what brings all of this together? Here are the key ISO principles. There are 7 points here: customer focus, leadership, engagement of people, process approach, improvement, evidence-based decision-making, and relationship management. I really want to highlight evidence-based decision-making. Practically, this completely transforms operations. It gets management away from just guessing or using gut feelings. Instead of assuming why a product failed, you literally dive into the documented audit trail to find the exact machine that drifted out of alignment. You make your decisions strictly on the hard evidence.
On to Section 4, Documentation, Audits, and Certification. We're shifting focus to the strict paperwork requirements, internal checkpoints, and the actual journey to certification.
You know the old saying, if it isn't documented, it didn't happen. Here are the documentation requirements. Policy and objectives, scope of the management system, procedures and process descriptions, risk assessment and treatment plans, records and evidence, internal audit reports, and management review records. Let me give you a practical example here. Keeping your management review records completely up to date. When those external auditors show up, they literally want to see the exact meeting minutes proving that top management reviewed the internal audit findings and actually signed off on the budget to fix things.
Now, as auditors, what are we looking at? Here are the internal audit focus areas: compliance with ISO requirements, effectiveness of controls, risk management process, achievement of objectives, performance measurement, and opportunities for improvement. That second point, effectiveness of controls, is huge. A practical example is measuring a network firewall. It is definitely not enough that the IT policy says the firewall is turned on. As an auditor, you have to practically test if it actually blocked simulated unauthorized traffic. That's how you measure true control effectiveness.
So how do you get the plaque on the wall? This is the certification process overview. Step 1, gap assessment. Step 2, implement controls. Step 3, internal audit. Step 4, management review. Step 5, certification audit. And Step 6, certification achieved. It's a strict 6-step sequence. But remember, the minute certification is achieved, you loop right back around. You maintain a loop of continuous monitoring and improvement so you never, ever lose that status.
Section 5, Challenges, Practices, and Audits. Let's examine the real-world roadblocks organizations face and the tactical best practices used during a risk-based audit approach.
We all know it's not always smooth sailing. Here are the common challenges: lack of awareness and training, inadequate documentation, resistance to change, insufficient resources, and maintaining continuous compliance. Let's talk about lack of awareness and training. As a practical example, an organization can struggle massively if they write a brilliant new IT security policy, but then get hacked a week later simply because they never actually train their frontline employees on how to spot a basic phishing email. How do we beat those challenges? Here are the best practices. Understand the standard thoroughly. Keep documentation simple and up to date. Conduct regular internal audits.
Involve employees and stakeholders. Monitor performance and KPIs. And drive continuous improvement. Job point about involving employees is a game changer. If you practically involve your frontline workers in drafting the procedures, they understand the why. This helps maintain continuous compliance because they feel ownership rather than just fighting against new rules pushed down from the top.
And that leads us to this example: risk-based audit using ISO frameworks. It's a complete 7-element flow. Step 1, identify risks. Step 2, evaluate risks. Step 3, focus audit on high-risk areas. Step 4, test controls and processes. Step 5, report and recommend. Step 6, monitor improvements. And Step 7, enhance controls. A highly practical example here is Step 3, focusing audit tests strictly on high-risk areas. This means you skip doing a massive deep dive into the office supply budget and instead focus your limited, valuable audit hours strictly on testing high-risk processes, like offshore vendor wire transfers.
Finally, Section 6, Key Takeaways and Popular Standards. We're going to conclude our core masterclass by locking in these final key concepts and providing a rapid-fire glance at the standards themselves.
Here is our key takeaway for today. ISO frameworks provide a structured approach to manage quality, risks, security, safety, and continuity. Internal auditors play a vital role in evaluating compliance, effectiveness of controls, and driving continuous improvement for organizational excellence. And I want to explicitly draw your attention to the comprehensive infographic on screen right now. This beautifully maps out everything we have successfully navigated together today. And to wrap up, let's look at popular ISO standards at a glance. We have ISO 9001, Quality Management, ISO 14001, Environmental Management, ISO 45001, Occupational Health and Safety, ISO 27001, Information Security Management, ISO 31000, Risk Management, ISO 22301, Business Continuity Management, ISO 20000, IT Service Management, and ISO 50001, Energy Management. And the exact quote at the footer here perfectly sums it all up. Standardize today, improve tomorrow, assure quality always. We have covered an incredible amount of ground in this explainer, but I want to leave you with one final, provocative question to think about. Can any modern organization truly survive the next decade without destructured language of standardization? Honestly, think about it. Is global business survival even possible without embracing these frameworks? I'm Sime Herakli. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.